Greetings, people. It's Jared here, Wolfgang One, back to do another Transformers review. I'm going to be taking a look at another Headmaster today. One that seems to be, I guess, a semi-popular character, but it's a bit of an uninspiring final result in terms of the toy. This is going to eventually, I think, probably lead into like a re-review of some of my other Headmasters, but we'll see what happens. Because I'm starting to get a list now of requests, which is lovely. But anyway, we're going to be concentrating today on Generation 1 Chromedome.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so here is Chromedome in his alt mode, which is supposed to be, I guess, a Cybertronian armoured car thing. I'm not entirely sure. When it got to a certain stage in the Transformers where they just didn't bother giving them alt modes that fit real life, it's just, oh, it's Cybertronian, we can make it whatever we want. Kind of, I think, as much as I love the Headmasters and like some of the toys that came out in the late years, I do think that the shift to Cybertronian modes kind of took the escapism out of it a little bit, because you wasn't dealing with a representation of a real life vehicle. But anyway, that's just me ranting about fucking shit I know nothing about. So let's move on to the stuff that Chromedome came with. Now, I haven't got all his stuff, sadly. He came with a tech spec decoder, which sadly I've put down somewhere and I can't find. He would have come with this oh shit, this instruction booklet. Not instruction book. It would have come with an instruction booklet, but I ain't got one. It would have come with this product sheet. I'm not going to bother getting it out because you've already seen it. But showing all the Headmasters, Target Masters, and blah, 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 blah. He came with two of these little cannons cast in red plastic. No real discernible detail apart from that. Nothing is accentuated with like sort of paint or anything like that. And he also came with his Headmaster companion, Stylor. Now, in the comics and in the Western world, Stylor was an alien, a Nebulon, who binary bonds to Chromedome. In the Japanese series, these were the actual Headmasters. This was Chromedome, and the larger body was the lifeless transector. I kind of like that idea. I think in the Western comics, in the comics version, Stylor was something to do with like the fashion world or something on Nebulos. In the Marvel, not the Marvel, in the Sunbow cartoon 4th season 3 episoder, he was a resistance fighter working against the Hive. I quite like the detail on this little fella. Paint is picked out on his face. His visor would be nice to see that blue or something that wasn't block orange. The arms do move on these plastic hinges, but doing it too much over the course of an extended period of time will snap those clean off the central body, and the legs do move a little bit like that. But yeah, that's Stylor. Funky little fella. To get that in focus, thank you. To transform him, it's very simple. You bend him over, and then you bend him over again, and then you flip up the back plate on his back. That will reveal the head. Now, here's the thing with these. I could never determine whether or not. Hang on, let's get my let's get Chromedome's gun here. I could never make out if this was supposed to be the eyes or the eyes are recessed in under the faceplate just here. Try to get some light on that if I can. I think the eyes are supposed to be back there, but again, not picked out with any discernible detail, so you don't really see his face except the faceplate. But yeah, that's basically the Headmaster gimmick. So the pilot or the companion transforms into the head and you stick the head on the shoulders. Going back to the actual main body of Chromedome, the good thing about these is it kind of takes a cue from the Diaclone sort of thing. So you open up the thing there. Let's turn Stylor back into Stylor. And then move his little arms forward. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I normally do if I display them like this, which is very rare. Let's get that up like that, and then move his legs into a sort of seated position, sort of slightly bent like that, and then stick him in the cockpit like that. Focus, thank you. And then close the canopy up, and then you've got Stylor riding around in Chromedome, which is, because of this plastic and how old it is, you can't really see beyond the glass. But there we are. So that would be Stylor driving around in Chromedome, and then if you want to transform him for action and battle, you lift that up, you pull him out, you transform it, you do all the things. There is weapon storage in this mode. I'll come on to that in a minute. I got this guy back in 2009 or 2010, something like that. He was a little bit beat up. I restored him with rep labels as they were known back then. I gave him a new rub sign, and I even gave him his name as a funky little number plate just in case he forgot who he was. I actually had another Chromedome which I custom painted black and silver to try and represent a car from Knight Rider. I've still got that somewhere. I might show a comparison at some point if I can remember where the fuck I put it, which actually, weirdly enough, I don't remember where I put it, so the answer to that is no. I'll just keep Chromedome there for a second. You can talk amongst yourselves as I attempt to find him. Oh yeah, there he is. Now, sadly, the styler that he came with has fallen apart, and I don't know where he is, but that's basically... there's a side-by-side comparison with Chromedome and the custom that I did back in 2008 or something stupid like that. And considering that I didn't know what the hell I was doing and I did it all with paintbrushes, actually I've got to say, the paint job has held up remarkably well over the course of the last decade. It actually still transforms, weirdly enough. It's very, very tight, but you know, there's the underside. Looks weathered and beat up like he's been in battle. The canopy still opens, you know, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's Chromedome side by side with, I don't know, maybe shattered glass Chromedome if you were that way inclined. So let's get that crap out of the way and focus on the actual purpose of this review. Now, weapon storage. Now, I've always been an advocate of saying that I think that attack modes are crap. And this is one of the few cases where an attack mode was almost perfect and yet they still fucked it up. Okay, let me explain. So the guns here will plug into these two ports on the back, just here. Okay, so we put one in there. We put one in there. And that is Chromedome in alt mode, attack mode. Now that, I think, that doesn't actually detract from the overall shape of the car. It actually looks quite decent. The problem is it still sort of falls down on itself, because if you're playing with it and you're doing whatever and Styler wants to jump out, he obviously can't because the guns are in the way. So that's a massive design flaw there. I think a decent attack mode possibly could have been just a couple of holes just here and on the other side, and the gun just sitting there on the sides of the vehicle. That would have been a decent attack mode, but obviously I'm not a toy designer. I'm just a prat who buys it. So yeah, not a hell of a lot else to say. And the other gimmick about the Headmasters was they each had a hidden tech spec in their chest. So when you connected the head will dictate their strength, weakness, and intelligence, or whatever, by these funky little things on Styler's back, just above his shoulders, just here. These will plug into the chest, and the chest will correspond to whatever scores these give. Okay. Now, the transformation for Chromedome, I'll be honest with you, out of all the Autobot Headmasters, is probably the most lackluster. And in fact, overall, Chromedome is the most lackluster Autobot Headmaster. Okay. Transforming this guy is not difficult. In fact, there was no point in them even packaging a instruction manual with him, because this is kind of pathetic. Okay, so I'm going to just zoom out a little bit so I can get this all on camera. There we go. Right, so transforming Chromedome, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start by flipping this entire section up like that, and this breaks away this section of the car. Okay, you pull the entire assembly, remove those back like that, you pull the entire assembly forward like this, so you flip the entire car out like that. Okay, fold down these two back sections. These will become his feet. Okay. Stand it up. Let's zoom out again. Ignore my T. And then bring this entire canopy section back on itself. Like that. That forms his back. And then bring down these two sections for what is supposedly his arms. And that is Chromedome's basic body. Let's zoom in now so you don't see all the shit around this. And that is Chromedome's basic body right there. Now, that transformation is not difficult. It's not interesting. It's well, it's very intuitive, but there's not a lot of factor, not a lot of fun factor to be had there. Okay, and in terms of his arms, well, there's a lot of this going on here. This is something that we complain about in modern times, like sort of hollow parts and that, but they were pulling this fucking shit back in the 80s, ladies and gentlemen. No real discernible hands, just these holes to hold his guns in, which we will do now. The one little gun, two little gun, and in terms of articulation, in this mode, the arms will spin round. That is about it. That is Chromedome's basic body. We take Stylor, just here, and we fold him over again, we lift up the faceplate, that forms the head, we stick the head on the shoulders, obviously, right, because that's where a head goes. So I'm going to open this panel up just here, and you will see speed, strength, and intelligence, okay? So let's do that. Let's get a little bit of light on the situation. There we go. Bring that in like that. And now Stylor will give Chromedome his stats, okay? So put him in, plug him in, like that. And his speed is 6, I think. 5 pushing 6. His strength is just about a 5. I think it's just slightly under. And his intelligence is a 9, apparently. Which is fine. You know, that's his stats. That's what he is. These things were always a little bit stupid because Scorponok's strength would be 10. I think his speed was a little bit down. His intelligence was 10 as well. Fortress Maximus's ones were like sort of through the roof. And it was quite funny because in some cases, the Headmasters, depending on their stats, were almost as powerful as their city former counterparts. So not necessarily thought out there, but you know what, whatever. So that little panel can go hidden up. I've noticed on some examples of Chromedome, this hinge here, the plastic, is broken and maybe the pin slides out, so you need to be quite careful of that. In fact, I think on the version that I painted, oh, no, that was all fine. That was all fine. But I have seen examples of that broken. And that's not just in relation to Chromedome Moira, that is in relation to like sort of Hardhead or any of the others. So Chromedome ended up becoming the leader of the Autobot Headmasters in the Japanese cartoon, and I can't really see the appeal there. This is not who I would have chosen to lead me, quite frankly, because, well, for one thing, he's very beige. He's beige and brown. His colours do not inspire confidence. His design is the most meh out of all of them. And yet, despite all that, I don't hate this toy. I don't have any particular love for it, don't get me wrong. This was as fucking basic as basic came. I mean, the Decepticon Headmasters were more involved than this. This is the most basic before the second generation of Headmasters came out and they started getting real lazy with that shit. This is probably the laziest example of a Headmaster you'll find. And it's a shame because I look at it and I think to myself, I'd have put a panel in here, I'd have put a hinge in there, I'd have made it do this X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. I'd have made the transformation a little bit more enjoyable because the car mode's fine. The robot mode is a bit piss weak, let's face it, ladies and gentlemen. And the transformation to get to the robot mode also corresponds to that. It is also piss weak. But yeah, that is Chromedome in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. He's not the most interesting Transformer I've got in my collection. Certainly not the worst, Jesus. I do have a fair collection of absolute turgid shit, and you've seen quite a lot of it so far. But he just doesn't really pop. He doesn't stand out. He doesn't make his presence felt. He's just there. And it's a shame because, you know, in this era where they're starting to try different concepts, different transformations, different like sort of variations on a theme, it's a shame that not every single example of that carried over into something interesting. Like Hardhead is a cool toy, Highbrow's a cool toy, Brainstorm's a cool toy. Why isn't this one a cool toy? So I can imagine out of all of them, this probably would have been the one who may have shelf warmed the most, or the one that people weren't really that interested in. A bit like Landmine with the first generation Autobot Pretenders. He was the one that apparently everyone was the least keen on. And in this instance, I can kind of see why. Yes, obviously G1s were basic in their transformation and everything like that, but this kind of took it to the nth degree, and yeah, he's just there. He fills the space on the shelf. That's about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this review. This is Gerald Gavin Barry, also known as Wolfgang1, saying I'll be back soon. I've had a request from Marcus Prime to do Generation 1 Sandstorm, and I'm looking forward to doing that because Generation 1 Sandstorm has a special place in my heart. But before I can do it, he needs a massive overhaul on his stickers. I'm also going to be doing G1 Scorponok at some point. I haven't forgotten that. Somebody else has requested... yes, Ed Bumblejumper has requested G1 Bludgeon off me again, because clearly the ass kicking I gave that last time was not enough. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of reviews on the way. I'm going to order some new stickers for things because I want to start doing the G1 Stunticon set as well. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So be sure to tune in for those eventually. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this is me with this uninspiring piece of plastic saying thank you very much for watching and take care.
And when tomorrow comes,